Can you see me now? Can you see me or hear me now? So, uh-oh. Hold on. I'm hoping you can see me and hear me now. Okay, good. I see Marcy says yes. You can see me? I can't see me yet. Hold on for 1 second. What the heck's going on? Can you visually see me? Give me a yes on say the word visual. If you can see me, because I'm not showing up on my end, which is very strange. Okay. Awesome. Good. I'm just going to ignore my little thing over here, and I'm going to talk directly to you. Hey, guys, surprise! I was sitting in the house today, and I was thinking about the wonderful session we had on Friday night, and I was working on a lot of stuff for the channels, and I thought, I'd just really like to talk to you guys again. So I just thought I'd just jump on real quick and surprise you both. Now I've shown up on the other screen here, so that's good. So let me just jump back, say hi to everyone. Sorry about all the buffering and stuff like that. Sybil, hello, welcome. Highlander 723, Chitra, my love, thank you. For James Prentice. Kath, how are you? And of course, Marcy. I love you, Marcy. Thank you for being here, Marcy. All right, visual, good, thank you. Audie H. Daff. That's hello to you. Well, guys, I was sitting here, like I said, on the back porch, and I was working on my computer, and I was doing all kinds of good things out there, and I was trying to figure out, what to do this evening, and I thought, I really kind of enjoyed that Friday night, so let's just jump on and talk to the gang and see how everyone's going. I tell you, I've got a lot of amazing things that are happening today. I've been working with a software that's telling me how to increase my views on YouTube, and it tells me that I've been doing something wrong for a really long time, and it's showing me how to fix it to get even more views. I'm really thankful because this last interview with Alex Ferrari brought me up to almost 37,000 subscribers now, and almost 17,000 on the Recovering Catholic channel, and things are going really, really well, and the information I'm getting is very interesting because it's saying that one of the reasons why a lot of my videos aren't getting as many views as possible is because I literally am tripping up the YouTube algorithm by putting too many videos out within 24 hours. They said it takes between 24 and 48 hours for the video to get traction, but if you put a second video out on top of it, what happens is the second video dilutes the first one. And so I've been putting out a video a day for years, and YouTube trusts that I'm going to put something up and that it's not going to be dirty or nasty, or it's going to be good. But I am tripping myself up by diluting my actual audience. So there's going to be a few changes that are coming up real soon. One of the changes is going to be I'm going to go to Monday, Wednesday, Friday for videos, and then on all the rest of the days of the week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the 3-camera shoot videos. Then I'm still going to do the Saturday video. And the Saturday video will be the casual one. And then I'm going to be doing shorts on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So there will still be something coming out every day, but shorts don't affect the longer form videos. And the ones during the week, Monday through Friday, are the content videos, and then the Saturday is kind of we hang out and have coffee videos. Kath, I'm so glad that you found me on Alex's interview. I loved my time with Alex, and Alex is a big part of why things are changing on my channel because he's inspiring me to really move forward. So. Those of you who are members, thank you, Highlander. I thought I'll do you one better, my friend. You're asking for prayers for, ask God to guide me and keep my anxiety under control during these times. I'm going to give you a better answer than that. And the answer I'm going to give you is this. Anxiety itself is fear run amok. And what anxiety is, in my opinion, and I have helped a lot of people break free of anxiety in general, my best friend included, and I'm going to give you the same advice I would give them. The reason the body goes into anxiety is because the body is storing air. We don't consciously know we're storing air, we're just storing air. The body has to hold that air. That body starts to suffer, it starts to strain, it starts to feel like we're out of control because we're trying to hold the dam of air in. And the anxiety makes us feel like we don't have control, and we're stressed about the world because the fear has built up into a state where it's now a physical reaction called anxiety. My best friend had severe anxiety attacks for years, and what I did was, I told him, I said, Tim, every time you start to get anxious, anytime you start to feel it, just stop and fully exhale. Shut off the fear response first. Shut off the fear response first. Because once you shut off the fear response, the anxiety will fade. The other thing is understand that God is not external, God is within you. And you can choose the appearance of calm and serene and live it by making it your choice. Your prayer and our prayers and Kath's prayer right now is beautiful, but prayers only work when the person who needs the prayer choose to believe it, and that's the present moment belief. And so, if you can learn the idea of simply releasing the anxiety through breath, just let it go. And then in that moment of feeling the release, then say, thank you for my perfect week that I'm having. Thank you for the best outcome for all involved. And the idea that it's going to be a tough week, let's let go of that too. I am having an easy week, and all of the things that were seemingly troubles are fading away and becoming possibility. And you keep your mind in the mindset of that in the present. With the exhale, you start creating a different outcome. Let me tell you a story. I had well, not a friend, but he became a friend. But on one of my private sessions, a guy named Doug, and Doug came on the screen, and he had severe Parkinson's disease. He was always freaking out. His body was a little shaky and everything. And I said to him, Doug, what's going on? He said, John, I'm stressed. I'm stressed out. Things are so hard right now. I'm stressed. I said, well, why don't you tell me about that? Why don't you tell me about that? He said, well, my wife and I just sold our house. And when we sold our house, we bought a yacht. And our goal was to spend the rest of our life on the boat, just sailing the world, doing that kind of thing. He says, while they were shipping my boat up to Alaska, they had an accident with the boat, and the boat was damaged beyond repair. At least we thought. He says, and we couldn't afford to fix it. We couldn't afford to change it. We couldn't afford to release it. He says, but the insurance company was not calling us back. And now we're living in a house we hate. We don't have the house that we used to love. He says, the boat that we were going to live in is sitting in dry dock at the marina, and I'm paying for storage on it. It's a big boat. He says, and I'm paying for storage on it. My wife wants me to sell it, and the insurance company's not returning my phone calls. I said, Doug, first of all, exhale. Just exhale. And you got him to exhale. I said, no, just feel what that feels like now. Right now, you can feel that relaxed sensation. He goes, yes. I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to start changing your belief. And what I want you to change it to is this. I want you to change it to, thank you, God, for the perfect sale of my boat and the perfect buyer and the best outcome for all involved in the sale of my boat as I embark on a world trip with my wife. And he said, okay, I'll do that. Well, I didn't talk to Doug for about 6 months. And as the 6 months went on, in that 6 month time, I didn't see him, didn't hear him or anything. And suddenly he came on one of my private sessions. And he came on camera, he says, hey, John, how are you? And he had absolutely no signs of Parkinson's or stress. completely anxiety-free. I said, Doug, what happened with your boat? He said, well, if I tell you, you're not going to believe it. I said, I'll bet you $10 I do. He said, well, what do I do? What happened? Tell me. He says, I was doing what you're saying. Every time I would get stressed, I would exhale. I would release that anxiety, and I'd exhale. And then I'd say, thank you for the perfect sale of the boat and the perfect buyer, and the best outcome for all involved as I embark on this trip with my wife around the world. And I said, well, what happened? He said, well, about 3 weeks in, he suddenly got a call back from the insurance company. And they said, we apologize for not calling you sooner. We apologize for not calling you sooner, but we have a problem with your yacht. He's like, what's the problem? He says, well, we're in New Mexico and you're in Alaska. If we total your boat, we become responsible for that boat and getting rid of that boat. And he says, that, well, what's going to happen? He said, well, the insurance ended up paying him more than his boat costs by far. More than his boat cost by far. He was allowed to sell his boat. He sold his boat. The buyer who bought his boat came up and repaired the boat. And then he dropped that boat into the water. He sailed it home through the Straits of Alaska. He was a shipbuilder, a boat builder, so he knew what to do. He went through the Straits of Alaska, and which is known as the roughest seas in the north. And during that trip, he had perfect sun, clear weather, perfect weather, and he sailed all the way home. And Doug was sitting in his Sprinter van, and he told me he and his wife were leaving for Mexico the next day or something like that. So in the end, Doug didn't have the symptoms on the camera with me or any stress at all. He had the perfect sale of the boat because he made more money than he actually paid for the boat. He sold the boat, made more money for the boat, and he was leaving on a trip around the world with his wife. He got everything he asked for just by staying in the belief that it was happening and releasing the anxiety. My friend, Highlander 723, you have the ability. All the power is yours. It always has been. It always will be. It's a matter of rending control of your present moment, grabbing control of your present moment, and just exhaling, and just start with the exhale. Release that fear. Release that anxiety, and then make a new present choice. Remember, all the fears that you're experiencing are coming from your past experience. But the Bible itself says you must become as a child to enter the kingdom of heaven, and you must be born again, which means in this moment, you can set your past down with that simple exhale and choose to make a new moment, and that's a choice. And that choice becomes creative when you believe it. And when you believe it, it'll clear out everything. My friend with the anxiety attacks has not had one since he started exhaling when he'd start to get the sensation. And you have the ability right now to go into this next week, no matter how tough you might think it can be now, you can take this moment and you can literally say, this is going to be a week of transformation where at the end of this week, I'm going to be better off than I was before. And you can start putting yourself in that. Bhagavad Gita literally says, thought by thought you forge your destiny. Therefore, to keep your mind on the positive rather than the negative is considered the austerity of the mind. Exhale, release. And I know, that is my prayer for you. I know that you have the power and the strength within you to take control of your present moment, to be the I am fully, and live it. And you'll do it, my friend. You'll do it. I hope that that answers your question. And Chitra, just so you know, I never like to use the real names because I just think it's part of the private session thing. So I'll giggle with you. So anyway, I hope you guys, I hope that helped you, Highlander. I know that it helped my friend Tim tremendously. Well, hey, Beyond Biblical Belief, welcome. And Kath, if that is what works for you, I love it. You know, all methods, all modalities work, but only if you believe they work in the present. And that really is the key to this. It is your faith that heals you. It doesn't matter. You know, placebos work for the same reason the chemotherapy does. It's also the same reason they don't work. someone doesn't believe they work. And as Henry Ford once said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. So, hey guys. So if you guys want to put questions up for me, put them up in all caps if you would, because the all cap. Southern Girl. Must have been from Friday. Put them up in all caps because you guys look at the chat board over there, and you'll notice that they're all not caps, but if you do them on all caps, I see them quicker and easier. And if you guys are trying to leave me questions in the comments section, please realize that I don't see the comments under live streams until after the live streams are well done. And so please go ahead and jump over to the chat board and put your questions in there. And as Mossy says, don't forget to hit the like button, please. All of your interactions really do help the channel. You don't realize comments help interactions. The likes really help interactions. So I really appreciate it. Crafting Gorilla, welcome back, my friend. Kathy Marr, welcome. So what other questions, what other comments do you guys have? I'm going to take a quick drink of water. So anyway, going back to my YouTube stuff. You're quite welcome for the impromptu chat. I was just very excited to talk to you guys again. I love this question, James. Edgar Cayce. Let's see, Edgar Cayce. Edgar Cayce, much like any other channel, any other prophet, spoke some truth and spoke some things that didn't come to pass. A lot of Edgar Cayce's work was very much influenced by the Theosophical Society in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. So you see a lot of Theosophical Society teachings. His concept of the Akashic Records is a Theosophical Society teaching. His focus on the Essenes was in a Theosophical Society sort of teaching. Do I think he's to be believed? Well, in my own life, he was the reason why I got my regression. You see, I had 19 psychics tell me about my past life. And finally I said to God, to the source, consciousness, I said, if you want me to really know this, send me a direct message. And within an hour, somebody handed me a book called Edgar Cayce on the Millennium. And I just said, well, let's see what this guy has to say about the millennium. He start reading at page 32. Says, John the Beloved will again be named John. And that was the thing that made me go, okay, I'm going to get the regression. And I went and I had the regression. But let's also understand this. Edgar Cayce said California would fall off into the sea in 1998, that Atlantis would rise from the ocean before the 90s. He created all kinds of stories and things that were based upon various beliefs of the time and various channels of the belief. And understand the Theosophical Society was created by Madame Helena Blavatsky. And Madame Helena Blavatsky was a trance channel of the late into the early 1900s, who always did all her seances in the nude. And when she told her history of where she learned all her teachings, she could not have physically done everything she said she did. Supposedly she climbed the Himalayas and learned from masters there, and she climbed from the she learned from the Native Americans. She learned from the natives of South America. She learned, for her to have done everything she said she'd done, then it really comes down to understanding that she was she was like Edgar Cayce. She probably had some truth coming through her, but also was just fully thing. And I'm going to pull this one up, Kath, and let me just talk about this. Let's talk about a scene theology, shall we? The theology that they're teaching now, and in the 1900s and up, has nothing to do with the Essenes. It has everything to do with what the Theosophical Society said the Essenes did. The only documented evidence of the Essenes is the Dead Sea Scrolls. Dead Sea Scrolls said nothing about healing. It said nothing about vegetarianism. It said nothing about Jesus, because the texts themselves were only of Judaic teachings. The Essenes were an isolationist sect of Judaism that literally was an isolationist sect. To become an Essene in that time period meant that you had to adopt the laws of Judaism and live them to their fullest. And to adopt the laws and live, you had to prove that for years before you could become an Essene. Problem is, Jeshua was a public speaker. He spoke everywhere, which is totally against the isolationist Essene teachings. Jeshua eats lamb and fish in the Bible, so he wasn't a vegetarian, like they said. The Dead Sea Scrolls, the only documented evidence of the Essenes that there are written on goatskin, sheepskin, and cowhide. So Jeshua was could not have been an Essene in any way, shape, or form. Now let's talk about the Essenes in general. The modern New Age has decided that there were only 4 kinds of Jews in the period, that there were Pharisees, Sadducees, Essenes, and Zealots. And in reality, the Jewish faith was huge, and these were just small little sects within Judaism. And the Essenes specifically isolated themselves from everybody else because they wanted to follow the rules more strictly than any other. In the Bible, Jeshua literally says, "Woe to you, teachers of the law." And he travels on the Sabbath, and he does healings on the Sabbath, and he does all the things that break the laws of Judaism. To be an Essene, he would have been stoned, because the Bible said he could be, the Old Testament teachings said he could be stoned for doing those things on the Sabbath alone. So the concept of the Essene is a modern creation. And when you look at where that modern creation comes from mainly, and a lot of the New Age gurus are pushing it hard because they're selling books about it and diets about it and everything else, they're following into what's known as the Essene Gospel of Peace and the Gospel of the Holy 12. And they're claiming that they're Essene writings. They are not Essene writings. The Gospel of Peace was written by Edmund Jackelli. He claimed he found a document in the Vatican Library and another library in Rome. The Vatican Library and the other library says we've never had it and it doesn't exist. When you read what Jackelli says, it mirrors Theosophical Society teachings. And so he never let anybody see it. He never let anyone he never took a picture of it. So there is no actual document called the Essene Gospel of Peace. It is Edmund Jackelli pushing Theosophical Society teachings. The other one was Minister Gordon Owsley. He wrote a series of articles for the newspaper from 1894 to 1903, and they became known as the Gospel of the Holy 12. He claimed he found that document in Tibet in a monastery. No one can find the monastery he talked about, number one. Number two, he never showed it to anybody, never let anybody see it, never took a picture of it, never drew a drawing of it. He just said this is what he found. He took the New Testament and then added vegetarianism and various aspects of Theosophical Society teachings into it and called it the Gospel of the Holy 12. These are both very well-known fraudulent documents, and the only evidence of the Essenes ever existing is potentially the Dead Sea Scrolls, and most scholars think it is the Essenes, but not all scholars even agree on that. So this whole push towards the Essenes by modern New Age gurus is not about the truth of Jeshua's way. It's about selling the book and selling the diet and selling the next thing. And so it really is very unlikely in any way, shape, or form that he could have been in the Essene. His public teaching alone would have made him not in the Essene. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah, and you're right, and Kath, you're right. There's so much stuff out there. Here's the one thing I'd like to tell you. Spirituality is about being present, and if they're focusing on conspiracies of the past or prophecies of the future, they're not in the present. Because what they're doing is they're marketing the fear from the past or fear from the future to have a product to sell. So I hope that helps. And I hope you're not offended by me laying this out. I've done a lot of research on this for 25 years. My whole history with my regression, I wanted to learn everything I could, and I've read everything I could read. Even Anna, the grandmother of God, or grandmother of Jesus, Anna, that book does not in any way, shape, or form ring true to me from all my regressions and stuff. But, anyway, that's all I really wanted to say about that. And I wanted to make sure I said it clearly because there's so much misinformation out there right now. So much misinformation. And the concept of the ancient conspiracies themselves is really kind of sad because in reality what was happening was religion was evolving. And the people now are looking back and saying, see, it was a conspiracy. They lied to us to control us and all this stuff. It probably wasn't that cut and dried. It probably wasn't that clear. They were grabbing a hold of religion and they were trying to figure out what made it work, and they were figuring out how it would happen in the world. And the next thing you know, their belief is different from ours now, and so people get a struggle with it. And the reality of it is, if we all just stayed present and loving, we would change the world right now. Yeah, and Shane, exactly. Shane, by the way, that was a really great piece of poetry you put up the other day. I really thoroughly appreciated seeing it. And Alex is interesting because Alex Ferrari is my friend, and I really thoroughly like Alex Ferrari. He's very inspirational to me. And what most people don't know about Alex is a host, but Alex follows Yogananda. He is very much into Yogananda. That's what he's into. Alex is a vegetarian, and we get along fine. When I went to his studio, he told me where to get the best barbecue. Right? So, Alex is very much more in alignment with the simple teachings that I teach, but he talks to everybody, and he knows just getting all this information from all different directions gives people the chance to find their own truth. Problem is, a lot of them get swayed into other people's truths and don't use their own discernment. And I love this, Chitra. I actually was working on this today for myself. I was contemplating this today for myself. And I think I myself spend too much time talking about the past, talking about the old teachers and all that stuff. And I really think that you can use them as passing reference, but to go into their stories and to make that the video topic actually makes it less effective than helping to help people in the now, to bring them to the present. And so if you'll notice, I don't talk a lot about Jeshua on my videos, except for in passing, where I say my friend Jeshua would say, or something like that. But I don't dive deeply into his life story or his experience. I know him as a man who found his divinity and was showing us ours. And in finding his divinity and showing us ours, that's a better story anyway, because he's saying it's possible for us. Greater works than I have done, you will do. Those things. To me, it's about living fully present and loving in the now. And when you live fully present and loving in the now, knowing full well that you can create your experience, just like, the water in the boat. The water only shows you the shape of the boat you put in it. And that's the important part of this. The water only shows you the shape of the boat you put in it. And you can put in a sinking dinghy, or you can put in a yacht drinking a margarita. And it really comes down to you deciding that I'm going to live on the yacht, or I'm going to live, bucketing out water because my dinghy's going down, because that's what I believe about the now. I am that I am should not be focused on the negativity of the past. It should be focused on the possibility of the future. I hope that makes sense. Chitra, I completely agree with you. Why debate somebody's life when in reality, that was 2,000 years ago too, and he lived in a different time, in a different place. People ask me what that life was back then. I say, in reality, he was living in a land that was like Afghanistan is today, women subjugated, and that's the important part of this, is to understand that you are the pinpoint of creation. You can love in the now. Live in the now. It's the best. It's our choice. Actually, that's from me. Thank you very much. That's a funny question. I I'm not, when I'm talking, and most people who know me for a long time know that I'm stream of consciousness. I just start talking, and I just let things flow out of me. And yes, I've studied for 25 years, and I do have a lot of amassed knowledge from the studies that I did. But most of my teachings are from experience. I've done a lot of amazing things in this world, and the experience tells me, oh, you didn't offend in any way, shape, or form, Kath. Well, I promise you. Made me laugh. There's a Gabriel story I'll tell sometime. Because, and actually maybe I should tell that now, because this is actually a good moment. I may have told this before, but I will tell it now here. I used to do a lot of in-person private sessions, I'd go to metaphysical centers and do private sessions. And I have, ever since my first experience of witnessing Jeshua in this life, and I don't mean like he showed up in the room with me, I mean like I was guided into a regressive memory and I remembered him. I began to see the world differently. When I look at the wall, it doesn't look like a gray painted wall in front of me. It looks like trillions of dots dancing. And that's literally how my eyes work. Even with the glasses, same thing. I look at it, it looks like trillions of dots dancing, and there's no real depth to it. I know that the dots are not only the wall, but the air between me and the wall. And I also understand that my eyes are also the dots. And I know that all this is an illusion of belief. And when I look at the illusion of belief, I sometimes see light in that belief. One day I was doing a private session just south of here, and as I was talking to this lady, I always open myself up for helping in the way that's best for them. And while I was sitting there talking to her and guiding her through her experience and bringing her back to her present moment, I kept seeing a flash of light in the side of my eye. Kept seeing a flash of light in the side of my eye. I turned and I looked, and that light was just stationary beside her. And I suddenly felt this pure wash of love come over me. Pure wash of love. And I just was like, oh, it was crazy, right? And suddenly, I started speaking with archaic language, and I started using a different voice, and I called myself Gabriel, which was the ancient pronunciation of Gabriel. And as I sat there and I spoke to her, I, John Davis, was just washed in this pure love. And then when it ended, I fell into despair, feeling all my fears, anxieties, and stresses. That freaked me out. I didn't know what to do with that. And so I gathered a bunch of trusted friends. My good friend Holly was one of them. And for months, every month we'd get together, we would do what we called Gabriel sessions, where I would go in and I would just let that information come through again. About 3 months in, Gabriel stopped referring to me in third person, started saying John I, John I, John I. And one of the ladies asked, why are you saying John I? And it was explained to us that there is no Gabriel, that I had doubts about my own divinity and didn't feel worthy to bring information through in that way. And when that information was coming through, I was pushing it out as a middleman, an intermediary between me and the divine. And what was happening was, because we've been doing it so long, I'd been getting used to letting information just flow through me. And John I was me struggling with my own divinity. And what happened next was that over the next couple months, the Gabriel thing just went away, and it was just me talking. What else happened was I stopped falling into despair afterwards. I would, because every time I'd bring Gabriel in, I'd cry afterwards. I'd weep afterwards. What happened was I became very used to just and accepting that information can flow through me. And now I speak very stream of consciousness, and I just open up and let things come through that come through. And I will tell you, when I first started doing private sessions again during COVID, I didn't know how I was going to do them. And I went in and I asked, how do I do them? And I was told to automatic write. I did over 1,000 writings last year, and I'm blown away by what came out in them. Some of them were just, I had clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, mediumship, just whatever was coming through. And I think what it was me tapping into the oneness of God, where their higher self is also tapped into. So I hope that answers the question, and I wasn't in any way, shape, or form offended. So the next question you asked, Kath, was, am I seeing subatomic particles? That would be how I would define it. I think I see the atoms moving, and to me, it's empowering and enlightening. Alina, hello. Felicia, how are you? Let's see, what does Felicia say? Can I get the link to your past life regression video that spoke about on? You know what? If you just go on my channel, and there's a little search magnifying glass, little search engine there, just type in 2 moments from my regression. You're going to hear 2 moments from my regression. That's what I spoke about on there. If my full regression is available for sale on my website, but it's like the full regression. But on the video that's on my channel, what you'll find is there's going to be 2 moments. And I'm warning you ahead of time. The second moment is literally me witnessing the crucifixion, and you hear me screaming during that. So if you're very sensitive to emotion, this is very much a big moment. But if you go, the first moment that I talk about in that video is, first of all, feeling Jeshua's presence, and then what happened next was you hear me cross over to the other side, and you hear me come back, and understanding that everything is love, and that fear is just the illusion of love's absence. So it really is an interesting video, and yeah, it's called 2 moments from my regression. And if you want, even if you don't know how to search on my channel, if you wanted just into YouTube and said John of New 2 moments from my regression, you'll find that video. It'll show right up. Shane, most artistic people absolutely channel their art. When I used to write stage plays, I would never plan it out. I'd never outline it out. I would just sit down and start writing dialogue, and then when I'd go to direct it, what I'd find is there was foreshadowing, and all the work was of a bigger story, was already built into the dialogue itself. So that to me was really fascinating. James, you're absolutely right. Jeshua did not want to be worshipped. Greater works than I have done you will do. He washed his disciples' feet to say he was no better than they. He was a man who understood that he had found his divinity within, and he was teaching that. Take heart, I have overcome the world, is literally saying, you have the ability. Chitra, thank you. I don't like most of the work that I do, including the channel. For something like that to come through and to not share it, to me, would be wrong. Because something came through that really explained the nature of ourselves and that wisdom. And so, to me, it would have been completely wrong for me to hide that, and a missed opportunity to help the world find their own divinity. And so, to me, that's why I do it. Kath, I would not be surprised. I think almost everyone channels in some form. And what is channeling? It's really an interesting thing. The word channeling comes from seafaring. There's a body of water, there's another body of water, and there's a channel that goes from one body of the water to the other. So you have this bigger body of water called the God consciousness, and you have the physical world consciousness, and down between is this channel of information that trickles down from above, and it's trickling down from the God consciousness to the higher self consciousness, and then down to the physical form. And to me, I think it's really interesting to realize that we all have that ability. But what gets in our way is our own fears, anxieties, and our doubts. The story of Gabriel that I just said, I couldn't bring information through that was clean because I didn't think I had the ability to do that, or I was worthy to do that. And when that change happened, it changed everything in my life. It put me into an expression of something far greater than myself. And like I say often, my channel is not my channel, it's our channel. I think of it as our channel. I think of it as coming together and speaking. I don't think I'm better than you. I don't think I'm worse than you. I think that you and I and everyone are equal. And I think there's beauty in every religion in the world, and I think there's buttheads in every religion in the world. But it's the fruit they bear that shows whether their faith is working for them. And that to me is really a very exciting expression, is that we are living that, and we have the ability to live that. And people are waking up every day. People are waking up to their divinity every day, and they're finding this new growth. And I think it's just wonderful to see. Columbus, Ohio. Kristen is back. Hello, Kristen. How are you? Kristen, this was a completely surprise live stream. I just jumped on because I had the, I don't want to cuss, the poops and giggles. Let's just say that. So I just wanted to hop on, and I had such a good time on Friday. I wanted to do it again. I'm glad Shane, I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like it. Oh, Edward, have a good day, and thank you for stopping by. Captain John, Sailing Source Energy. Here's the interesting thing. Somebody asked me what my legacy should be. I always tell them the same thing. I say, I want to leave a positive wake behind me, and I want everyone to forget who captained the boat. Because it's not about me. It's the wake that they take in, and they become their own captain. Montreal, Canada. Hello, Canada. How was that this morning, Kristen, that you had the dedication? Did you go, or did you graciously bow out? I remembered. Nika, hello. Thankfully, yeah, I'm jumping on live as a surprise. Hey, Brent, thank you for the super chat. This channel only runs by donations and coffee sales and all that stuff. The super chats are great. So yeah, So thank you for that. It's very grateful. So you went as a family affair, and you took it as just being there for the family. That's awesome, Kristen. How did it make you feel making that choice as opposed to focusing on what they were doing? I'd love to hear that. Yep. Was it Nightbirds? I think Alina, you were the one who reminded me that it was Nightbird. You don't have to wait till things aren't hard to be happy, right? Your authentic self is found everywhere. Nika, are you Native American? That's fun. Indiana, so you're close by. You're just one state over. Oh, Shane, I love that. Dozer blade of love before me and the rubble of bliss behind. Awesome. That's great. Very, very exciting. Rosemary, welcome. I'm glad you're there. I just jumped on as a surprise live, so I just thought it'd be fun to do this today. I did a short this morning about how social and media should not be together. Social should be a live experience, and media should be something you watch, and have that separation. It was all good. I'm glad it was a good thing. You go there, and they're allowed to do what they do. They're allowed to believe what they believe. It's okay. I love that, Kristen. Thanks for letting me know and sharing that. Oh, my goodness. So what else do you guys want to talk about? Any more questions, comments, concerns? So like I said earlier, there's some changes coming to the YouTube channel. Longer form videos will be Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Saturday will be coffee. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays will be where shorts go out. So there'll be something every day, but I'll be making the longer form videos on those other days of the week. The main reason is because I've been informed that I'm putting out too much content, and YouTube is not serving me the best it could. They said it needs between 24 and 48 hours between videos for the video to get traction. So I'm bumping them out. The shorts don't affect the long form videos, and so I just want to let everyone know that that's happening. You know what, Chitra? My son goes back and forth. So this past week he was over at his mother's house for his birthday, and I was really glad he did because his grandmother shares a birthday close to his, and they were able to have a shared birthday dinner with with his grandmother and his mother, and he loves his grandmother. And to be real honest, I love his grandmother. One of the most wonderful people I've ever met in my life. And so I would do anything for her, and I'm so glad. And I encourage him to be with her as much as he possibly can, and to be with his grandfather as much as he possibly can, because they're only going to be here for so long. Go there and show them you love them, let them know they're loved, and learn from their wisdom of years. So, so to me, it was not. He'll come here next week, and we'll celebrate his birthday at my house then. Well, thank you, Sybil, for the. I'm glad you enjoyed the session. Sessions are ending December 23rd, and once again, it comes back to the being able to reach more people by creating better content and doing different things. And also, I said this on my Saturday video. The live streams take about 40 to 50 hours a week sometimes, depending on how they go. And taking the live stream, not the live streams, the private sessions, take 40, depending how they go. Taking the private sessions out frees up a bunch of time for me to increase my reach and reach more people. And I affect more people through video content than I do through private sessions. I like doing the private sessions. Like I said on Saturday, I feel like I've made a lot of new friends. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience doing that. But 61 years old, I'd like to not work 60 to 70 hours a week. And I'm really thoroughly enjoying my new artistic expression with video and stuff. For any of you guys who saw my Saturday, did you like my opening? I was having fun with that one. Good night, Shane. Thanks for stopping by. Do you find feeling something you appreciate rather than using words works way better for meditation too? For me, and as I said on the live stream Friday, I call what I do methodless meditation. It's sitting in love, and the reason it works is because I'm not focused on thoughts or words. I'm solely focusing on the feeling of love that's found at the bottom of the breath. So I literally come to that space of just, and the goosebumps rise on my arm, and I feel that love pour over me, and I just sit in that feeling, and I bask in that feeling, and I bathe in that feeling. And for me, it's always about the feeling. It's never about the words or the thoughts or the breath or the counting breaths or the mantras or the looking at the candle or listening to the guided words. I found in all of my studies of meditation that you reach the state when you release the method. And what I do is I bypass the method and I go right to the state. But people don't fully understand that usually when I say that, but that state, I sit down and I do that. Sitting down is not necessary to do it. Walking to the grocery store, I do it. I exhale, I come back to that space, and I walk through in love, and I see people smile at me, right? To me, it's a beautiful expression of being love. My live streams are called the Live Loving live stream. Living loving is living the feeling of love into the world. And when you live the feeling of love into the world, people feel it. When you hear my regression that we talked about earlier, I could feel Jeshua's presence as I came closer because he was just being the love. He was being that expression in the now, and you could feel it. Yeah. I hope that answers your question there. Crafting Gorilla, which is the coolest darn name in the world. Gina Ladd, hello. I'm glad you found me. I didn't know I was lost. I'm happy to share. I only speak my truth on my channel. I never expect anyone to take what I believe is truth. I only want people to find their own truth. And if they find some truth in what I say, I'm very grateful for that. Because it has worked out so beautifully for me personally that I wish more people felt the way I did about the world in general. Because I think the world is beautiful, and I think the people who are afraid right now are a little bit lost, and that's kind of rough. Oh, you're right, Rosemary, about grandparents. Larry, yep, I surprised everybody. I jumped on. Brent, I think that when you choose to make emotional connection to seasons, you will have reactions to seasons. I know for me, I really don't have, the only one that I ever really have an issue with is cats. For some reason, I do have a allergic reaction to cats, and I don't really understand why. But yeah, so yeah. But thoughts on season, and I think if I could change that belief, and I know that I hear me say if, that means that I didn't. So I'll change that belief, and I will cure my allergy to cats, if you will. I don't know if you have seasonal affective disorder or not, but you can change the belief about that too, and change that as well. Oh, Larry, I'm glad you liked the Saturday morning opening. I was so excited about doing that. I was just like, oh, this is a cool idea. I want to do that. Oh, that, Kristen, that's beautiful. You know, that they should be aware of what they're doing and aware of what they're believing. The Catholic Church does not do that. They lock you into the faith before you could know anything about anything. So that's kind of rough. Chitra, I'm glad you love the coffee making video. Good. I'm glad you understand that feeling thing I was talking about there, Crafting Gorilla. Oh, very good, Lee. Absolutely. You can manifest anything. Love it. Are you looking for a coffee morning blooper reel? I actually don't have any blooper reels at all. Sorry. I was so excited. I had planned out what each shot had to be. Now, I will tell you a secret. In the beginning of it, you'll see me in bed and my eyes open up and I'm like, oh God, like this. That was not a window shining on me. That was what's known as a gobo light that has a window frame look on it. So I was actually shining a light that looked like a window on me, which I loved. I was like, I'm really digging this whole, this technology that I'm playing with now. I'm going to jump down here a little bit. Huh. Thank you for the information. I don't have cats. The only cats that ever affect me is when I go visit my friend Holly. She has two, and that's really the extent of my cat exposure anymore. Alina, that is perfect. Yeshua said it the same way. He said, "Think not upon tomorrow. Be here today." So yeah, be here today. I am in no way worried about the plastic I'm using in my coffee morning because I'm not afraid of anything. If I was afraid of it, then I might have that problem. I have had no issues from it at all. So that's my thought on that one. Thank you for the concern, though. That's absolutely lovely. My son just called. The tone of his voice is triggering. He's upset. I recognize my first thought before calling back is... So, Laura, this is interesting. You recognize that his voice is triggering you because of past experience. That's why that is. The next thing you do is instead of thinking, why is he hurting and why do I cause it, why not just exhale? Understand, if he's triggering you, it's actually your choice to be triggered, number one. Number two, understand whatever he says, that's his, not yours. That's his, not yours. You don't have to take ownership of it. You can understand that if he's mad, sad, frustrated, angry, there's a fear, and usually that fear is not being respected or not being powerful, and all of those can be broken down to the fear of not being loved. So it really comes down to understanding that your experience is your experience, and your experience is always the choice you make about the now, no matter what anybody else says. Euphonia, my Saturday video has a new intro, and in the intro, I make coffee. That's what they're talking about. Oh, Chitra, I love that. Kazian, welcome. Yeah, and Laura, if you can just remember to exhale whenever you feel anything negative, just exhale. Exhale brings you back to the present moment in the here and now. And coming back to the present moment in the here and now is how you change your life. Awesome. Let's see what we got here. Joy, thank you. I loved it too. I thoroughly enjoyed that moment. And I was sitting there looking at it. I was watching it, and I looked at my coffee mug, and I said, "Man, that coffee mug is filthy. Look at that coffee mug." And then I watched it again, and when I pulled the knife that had the butter on it out of the coffee, you see the big splash land on the side of the mug and drip down. And I thought I just had a dirty mug out. So glad it caught it on video, so you guys didn't think I just had a dirty mug. So that to me was fun. Oh, Kristen. Oh, beautiful, Kristen. Thank you so much for sharing. What we talked about is literally just about you choosing to be your own experience. And friends and family are close. And because of that, we tend to put more weight into what's going on there. But in reality, our experience is effective. When someone comes on my comment section and calls me the Antichrist or a blasphemer or a heretic, right? I have gotten to the point now, well, the first thing I do is I exhale, right? I go, why are they so fearful? Why are they? And I start looking at how can I alleviate their fears? And to me, I get to choose. I'm an action hero, not a reaction zero. And so I just stay in the action mode and I live into that. And I'm so glad it worked for you, Kristen. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. The voice reminds me of a 70s commercial. You mean the coffee commercial that I do in my videos? Is that what you're talking about? Crafting Gorilla? I'll tell you about that coffee video. I don't know if I still have it. Let me see if I can, Oh, a quick word from our sponsor. Coffee Time with John. This channel runs off coffee, so get your coffee and tea at johnsjoe.com. If that's what you're talking about, okay. So when I made that commercial, I wanted it to have a concept of Shaft, right? Shaft, the old, blaxploitation movies, Shaft, right? And I specifically wanted funk music, so I called my brother and I said, Jimmy, I need 15 seconds of funk music. And he totally wrote that. And he wrote it, he performed it, he recorded it, and he sent it to me. So it's completely royalty free because it's my brother's music. And then I wanted to do like a Barry White kind of voice. johnsjoe.com. Right? So it's very much a 70s vibe. Very much a 70s vibe. Oh, Kristen, you look great for 60. I would have guessed 30s from your picture. I'm 61, so I get you, sis. Oh, Laura, thank you so much. Shiba dog in a combat position. Oh, that's probably another one. I'm actually working on another idea for a coffee commercial, but I don't want to lose that one because I like that one so much. I asked my brother to give me 15 seconds of John Denver-esque guitar, and he's working on that right now. I'm going to do a John Denver-esque guitar. And I may change the music of the coffee intro to something from my brother. That was actually from a royalty-free site that I subscribed to. But yeah, I like promoting my brother. And if you guys arrived early for any of my live streams, the song that plays at the beginning of my live streams is my favorite song of my brother's. It's Bummed Away Away. It's it's a beautiful day, bummed away away. Beautiful song, love it. And so that for me, that's even making the commercials is kind of fun to do that. It's interesting when pastors. Let me open this up. It's interesting when pastors talk about the body of Christ. It's very noticeable. They never include human beings of non-Christian beliefs. So they leave out millions in the analogy. There's 8 billion people in the world. 30% of them are Christian. 20% of the Christians are Catholic. Less than half of them are practicing Catholics. Most of them are recovering Catholics. And they talk about the body of Christ and transubstantiation. And in the Catholic Church, when they say transubstantiation, they say, when we say this is the body and blood of Christ, you're supposed to believe that's blood and that's body, and that's part of the deal. And instead of it being a simple, just a simple, hey, blessing, right? It's now a transubstantiation that makes it the actual body and blood of Christ. But what's really interesting to me is what I think Jeshua meant was, remember my teachings as often as you eat and drink. This is my body, this is my blood. Remember me when you eat and drink. You eat and drink every day. Remember this to be true. Remember my truth. Remember what I'm telling you. I'm not going to be here forever. So remember what I'm doing and telling you as frequently as you eat and drink. So, yeah, they're leaving 85 to 90% of the world out when they talk about the body of Christ, because the majority of the world does not believe as they do. In the United States, we have a very highly Christian population here, but the majority of the world are not Christian. So I hope that helps. So yes, that is true. So what else we got? Okay, guys, I'm going to start winding down here. I'm going to go for 4 more minutes. And I'm going to tell that to Chitra so she can keep me honest. Chitra is the one who kicks me out. And I want to thank my friend Marcy for being here today. It always makes me smile whenever I get to experience Marcy, and Spirit made me do it. Guys, go over there and visit her channel and look at the wisdom she shares, and subscribe and make her channel grow to something huge. Share it with your friends. Get a reading from her, do all the things that she talks about over there. Marcy is my friend, and Marcy is someone who has done tremendously beautiful things for me, and I am highly grateful for her friendship, and I would like to see everyone that I know support her as much as she supports me. So go do that. Let's see what we got here before we go. You Marcy, you're so good. Yeah. The hard time. One of my favorite lines in the movie Gandhi was the priest climbs up on top of the train, and there's a bunch of native Indians around, and his one guy says, "Yeah, my friend is a Christian." He goes, "Really?" He says, He drinks blood. He says, blood of Christ. I was like, that's the best. It's just, when you take things such out of context, it's very, very interesting to hear. Why would you think that? And Duran, let's talk about that for a second. The interesting thing about they're afraid of the last days, understand that the people who wrote about the last days in the Bible thought they were going to happen in their lifetime. And they were literally saying, this is going to happen in your lifetime before this age passes, meaning the people who are living in that age. They were all wrong, number one. And the book of Revelations, which they all lean into nowadays, was a book to warn the various communities of Christians, followers of Jeshua's way, warning them about the persecution of Rome. And the number 666, scholars are very much agreed that's a reference to Nero. The white horse is a reference to Caligula, because he was known to have this almost weird sexual perversion for his white horse. And so this whole pale horse, coming on the pale horse, he is dead, it was a Roman ruler coming to wipe out Christians. So the whole book of Revelations is not a prophecy book. It's a warning to stay faithful during persecution in the time. So I'm glad you brought that up. Marcy, please put your link in so everyone can find you. If you click on Marcy's face, which, we all like to click on Marcy's face, it'll take you to her channel. But yeah, put it in there anyway. Oh, did they talk about rapture? Let me tell you a little bit about the rapture, because it's one of my favorite topics. Invented in 1930 by Minister John Nelson Darby. After hearing a Scottish woman's dream, he went to the Bible to make sense of it. He saw one line that said, "They will be taken up," and he created the rapture in 1830 from that book. Catholics don't believe it because it's not part of the Bible. But Catholics believe a lot of other things that aren't in the Bible either, like the Trinity is not in the Bible. There's a lot of things. Original sin's not in the Bible. These are all later theologians' additions to the books, and I find it rather kind of interesting. Anyway, let me jump on down further. Thank you, Kristen. Well, and it's funny, the year 2000, the Y2K. Anybody remember Y2K? I'm old, so I remember Y2K. You know what? I knew a guy who was very well educated. He literally had a multi-million-dollar house on the outskirts of Washington, D.C. He was storing water and food, and he was like prepared for Y2K. I went to Key West and watched the conch drop over Sloppy Joe's bar. And I said, well, if anything's going to happen, I want to be in Key West. So I don't buy into the fears of terrible things. Yeah, we got the rapture did happen last week. Nobody missed the 144,000 because there's 8 people in the world. 8 to 8 billion people in the world. Nero. Marcy's name in the chat box, my friends, is Spirit Made Me Do It. Okay, guys, I got to start to wind down here. I'm going to start to shut us off. We love Marcy, and there's Marcy's little thing right there. Love you, Chitra. Here we go. All right. Anyway, my friends, I want to thank you for jumping on this impromptu live session. It's been an absolute wonderful, wonderful conversation today, and it was exactly what I wanted, to come on here and just talk to a bunch of friends. And I hope you guys are going to have a great night, and I will talk to you next month. See ya. Bye. Thank you for joining us at the Live Loving live stream. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and visit us at johnofnew.com.